A lesson learned, you always have to be ready. And this week, another ex-heavyweight champ, Michael Dokes, must be ready. He once thought he was on the top of the world, but drugs and partying brought his career crumbling down.
I didn't have the coping skills. I didn't have the wisdom and the knowledge that I have now. I didn't have the colleagues, the team, a true champion team that I have now. I didn't have that then.
Dokes should have his hands full tonight against Jesse Ferguson, who has fought against 3 world champions and is not in awe of ex-champ Dokes.
He's a lot slower, and I think his legs are gone, and he doesn't take that good shot like he used to.
Sean, Jesse Ferguson feels that Michael Dokes' wars in the ring and his battle with drugs has taken its toll. But if you talk to Dokes, he says all that he has been through, going through rehab 5 years ago, that has made him not only a better person, but calmed him down and made him a better fighter in the ring.
I don't know if that would make you a better fighter in the ring. I do know that Michael Dokes is a former heavyweight champion of the world. Let's face it, he knows how to fight. Jesse Ferguson comes into this fight, and his record looks like a who's who of the heavyweight division. A lot of big names on there, and he comes into this fight and he says, what do I have to lose? Sound familiar? Sound a little bit like Everett Bigfoot Martin last week when he beat Tim Witherspoon? He's coming into this fight with the right attitude.
All right, Ferguson looking for that Bigfoot replay. Let's see how these two fighters size up on the tail of the tape. Michael Dokes, in his last fight in April, weighed in at 239 pounds, so he's up nearly 20 pounds for this one. Ferguson, who's a couple of years older than Dokes, but at 6'2", he's smaller than Dokes and has the bigger reach. Let's check it out now on the blackboard.
On the boxing blackboard, former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Dokes. Aging fighters lose their speed. Concentrate to start quick. Don't worry about your power, just put the punches in there with fast combinations. Drugs rob athletes of their speed, Michael, so try to get back into the swing quickly against your opponent tonight, Jesse Ferguson. Michael is quite lethargic, Jesse, so beat him with foot movement. Slide around behind Michael and work the angles. Don't forget to feint your aging opponent out of his shoes. The critical factor in this match is the late rounds. Jesse Ferguson usually fades, but with Michael Dokes' personal problems, the late rounds belong to the swift.
From the beautiful Broadway by the Bay Theater here at Harrah's, Atlantic City, New Jersey, it's Tuesday Night Fights main event and is being promoted by Frank Gell Promotions and Peltz Boxing Promotions in association with Harrah's, Atlantic City. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of the scheduled 10-round heavyweight bout, referee Rudy Battle. The judges, Eugene Grant, Joe Pasquale, and Lynn Carter. And now, my good friends, introducing the principals. First, in the red corner, wearing the purple trunks with the white trim. He weighed in at an even 234 pounds. Professionally, this young man has 18 wins, 7 losses with 13 knockouts. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen, here is Jesse Thunder Ferguson. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the solid white trunks. He weighed in at an even 258 pounds. Now, professionally, he has 47 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, with 32 knockouts. The former WBA heavyweight champion of the world, all the way from Akron, Ohio, and now residing in Las Vegas, Nevada. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Michael Dynamite Dokes.
Michael Dokes has the game face on.
Step back. Now, both of you receive your pre-fight instructions. I want a clean break at all times. Let's have a nice, clean fight. Good luck to both of you. Let's touch blood.
And the rules here in New Jersey, 3 knockdown rule in effect. So is the standing 8 count. You cannot be saved by the bell in any round. This is scheduled for 10, and it's a 10-point must-scoring system. Michael Dokes, the intimidation factor, as he goes face-to-face with Jesse Ferguson.
And he says he looks right into his opponent's eyes. In those eyes, you can see fear, you can see hate, you can see concern, you can see worry. You can see if your opponent is knocked out. And he was looking right into the eyes of Ferguson.
Both fighters known for pretty good chins. Michael Dokes.
And both fighters known for pretty good left hooks, too, Al.
Dokes, when he fought Holyfield back in March of '89, tipped the scale at 225 pounds. He was up to 240 against Razor Ruddock. And after he lost that fight to Ruddock, he was out of the ring for about 7 months, ballooned up to 277. So he's actually been working his way down. 239 in his last fight. He just put on an extra 19 for this. And there he tries out that left hook.
Working his way down, Al, but he was upset that he weighed in at 258 for this one. He wanted to be a lot less. Although he says that he only had 3 weeks to train for this match. Jesse Ferguson has been in the gym for the last 6 weeks, has known about this match for 3 weeks. Says that he comes into this one in perfect shape.
Well, 234 hardly looks in, I don't know if I would use the term perfect shape, but he's very comfortable with it. Ferguson burst on the scene. He was 13-0 as a professional, and along the way had a meeting with a guy who was 19-2, James Buster Douglas, and he beat Douglas back in '85, 10-round decision. Ferguson then rising in the ranks, taking on Carl the Truth Williams, who had come off an impressive showing against Larry Holmes, and Ferguson put Williams down, but the Truth, a little too seasoned at that time, came back to stop Ferguson in the 10th. Ferguson would face Mike Tyson when fighters weren't going too long against Tyson. Ferguson went into the 6th before he was stopped. In his next fight, lost in 10 to James Bone Crusher Smith. So Ferguson, at a young age, perhaps rushed into the fray too quickly. Dokes, 7 knockouts in the first round. Ferguson not that quick of a starter. The last first round knockout for Dokes came in July of '89 against journeyman Bobby Crabtree. Matter of fact, Dokes won the heavyweight title with one of those first round knockouts over Mike Weaver. 10 seconds to go in the first round. So 3 minutes down in this scheduled 10-rounder. No question a feeling out process in the first round. A former heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Dokes, who won that title back in '82, taking out Mike Weaver in 1 round. Then in the rematch, he retained the title in a lackluster draw. Lost the title to Jerry Coetzee when the partying was hot and heavy. And then coming back after rehab, fight of the year against Evander Holyfield. A year later, took on Razor Ruddock and was felled by the left hand. And those are some of the big fights in the career of Michael Dokes. Now the big fights of Jesse Ferguson. We touched on them earlier. The victory over Buster Douglas before Buster Douglas became Buster Douglas. Carl Williams, and also heavyweight champions Tyson and Bone Crusher Smith. So Jesse Ferguson has fought some top competition, hanging around, winning the 1 fight against Buster Douglas. But after those fights, Sean, started downhill, and the big thing in the mind of Jesse Ferguson then is, was he going to become a professional fighter or a professional sparring partner?
And I asked him how he stayed away from that sparring partner syndrome, that terrible web that fighters get into just to take a beating, go through these fights. And he said, it's because I have rejuvenated my professional career. I no longer am out there as a professional sparring partner. Good right hand by Ferguson. He comes into this match with a record of 18-7, but says his real record should be 22-3. Said that he's been ripped off on the road fighting in the other man's hometown a number of 4 times.
Well, he spent a couple of years looking for fights, said couldn't get any fights, and went into sparring. You heard Lennox Lewis talk about Ferguson. He sparred with Lewis, but he sparred with Razor Ruddock for the Tyson fight. He sparred with Tyson when Tyson was getting ready for Buster Douglas. And a matter of fact, Ferguson said nobody would listen to me, but he predicted that Douglas would win the fight because he said Tyson was not training properly for that one. And Ferguson had fought Douglas, knew what he could bring to the table. Ferguson also sparred with Moore for the Burt Cooper fight. He sparred with Ray Mercer. So perhaps he's one young man who could actually rank the heavyweights better than most.
And he says, hey, I've been in there with the best in the world in boxing. He said, Michael Dokes can show me nothing. You were talking about the Tyson fight with Buster Douglas. That's a fight that was offered to Michael Dokes, but they wanted too much money.
Ferguson has built up a reputation that he lays in there, really doesn't make a fight, doesn't take it to the opponent, but that has not been the case so far in the couple of rounds that we have seen.
And he is zeroing in on the body. Looking at that 258 pounds of Michael Dokes, Jesse Ferguson is trying to go downstairs.
Oh, he goes upstairs there. Jesse Ferguson teeing off on Michael Dokes. Since the Ruddock defeat, Dokes has reeled off 6 straight wins, his last 5 by knockout. And right now getting a severe test in the first couple of rounds by his elder by a year and a half, Jesse Ferguson.
Elder, yes, but Jesse Ferguson admits, he says, hey, look, I've never been on drugs. He says, I've never drank and I've never smoked. He says, I should be physically in better shape than a Michael Dokes. Good round by Ferguson, but Michael Dokes comes back right at the end.
No, that's it. That's it. Keep digging. All right, baby.
Good round for Ferguson, and here is a look at some of the good action from him. Trying to dig at that body, going around those elbows is Ferguson, and then coming upstairs. But it was Michael Dokes who came back later in the round. Here is another view of some of the body work. Jesse Ferguson, he's been in there with so many big fighters in the gym and a few of them in the ring to fight. Said he was going to take it right to his opponent.
On the inside. All right.
And he has done that.
Ferguson with that quick start, the young promising heavyweight when he got out of the gate. But after suffering some of those defeats, developed into a sparring partner. But now he feels a victory over Dokes perhaps could get him back on the pro circuit.
You know, when Michael Dokes is tough is when you pressure him. When you have him hurt, he fights, and he knows it. I mean, this is a kid that's fought his whole life. Michael Dokes started out boxing at age 16. He fought in the amateurs Teofilo Stevenson in the Pan Am Games. Mike got knocked down in the first, but then he came back and felt like he won the last 2 rounds. That in the Pan Am Games.
Ferguson, when he was out for about a year and a half, when he came back, stepped right in against Oliver McCall. A tough 10-round decision, lost that one. Very close decision. Then he stepped in against Bruce Seldon in January of this year. Doing well through 4 rounds, but stopped on cuts. 20-stitch gash on his left eye in the 5th round against Seldon.
growling with his punches now, Michael Dokes.
And he is really digging in this fight. Dokes says that earlier in his career, he would start early and then fizzle out. But now, with the wealth of experience, one thing on his side, he feels he has the ability now to go the distance better. He feels stronger at the end, and he's going in against a guy in Ferguson who he thinks will be tough from rounds 1 to 6 and then could fade. So it is Dokes doing his best Monica Seles imitation in the ring. The grunting and groaning, really digging in inside. He knows Ferguson's the kind of guy likes to lay on you. He'll be right there in front of you, and that has been the case. But I don't think he felt that Ferguson would be punching back as much as he has.
Well, Ferguson thinks that Michael Dokes has the tennis racket in that left hand because Michael has been landing over there. Now, this is a perfect opponent for Michael. What Michael does not want is the flashy, fast opponents that move around, that give you that lateral movement. You got to have, for Michael, you got to have somebody that sits in there with you and takes your heavy shots.
Michael Dokes, who always had the power, feels he has even more now. More flat-footed. He wants to save the energy. But if he's really serious about getting into the heavyweight race, certainly has to shed many of those 258 pounds. Much, much too heavy. Closing seconds of round number 3. It's a scheduled 10-rounder. Moving Ferguson back was Dokes in the closing seconds. Have elbowed their way in tonight here at Harrah's in Atlantic City, and we welcome you ringside. Former heavyweight champion Michael Dokes in the white trunks. 47 victories, 3 defeats, a couple of draws, 32 knockouts. And he steps in the ring against Jesse Ferguson, who has won 18 and lost 7 with 13 KOs. Now, Dokes drilled Jesse Ferguson with about 10 seconds left, but Ferguson standing in and scoring a combination at the end of the round, sending a message to Dokes. And there is Ferguson flailing away. Coming into this fight, we felt Ferguson had a better chance of beating Dokes than before last week of Bigfoot Martin beating Tim Witherspoon.
Absolutely. Well, Bigfoot Martin just did it on pure guts. He went out and he did what he had to do. He wanted very badly to win that fight.
But he did what he does whenever we see Bigfoot Martin. The only difference on that night was that Tim Witherspoon didn't do anything.
Boy, good combinations by Ferguson, and he punches and then he moves. See, that's what Dokes has trouble with. When you rally on him and then you sidestep around, you work those angles, that's where he has difficulty. If you stand right in front of him, he will certainly trade with you.
But Michael Dokes is doing more in this fight than we saw Tim Witherspoon respond last week.
Zeroing on that body is Ferguson. Doing a good job down there.
Now you see some of the veteran heavyweights coming back, and they're saying, hey, I want a shot at this guy, I want a shot against this guy, I want to get right back into it. Michael Dokes, unusually patient, says one fight at a time, and it will come. And that could go back to his drug rehab 5 years ago. He says he's been clean since that time. He projects a calm in his life. And the game of boxing, he says, has more of a meaning. In his now, what he says, drug-clean life, he is now taking it one at a time. And actually, in his career now, it has become one fight at a time. He's not looking for the gold at the end of the rainbow. He has won 6 in a row, 5 by knockout. He's in a different place now, looking for different things. Before it was fame, fortune, seeking the goal. He had the party attitude, but now it's more the ride along the way. And I think fighting also is a part of his therapy. Still has that, the one thing he did very well.
Absolutely, that is keeping him clean. Now he has a reason to stay clean, and that is because he wants to regain his heavyweight title. Michael Dokes was trying to reach around the elbow of Ferguson, and he went below the belt. Well, because of that, the two heated up and they started saying words to each other.
And an extra
Dokes
punch.
by Michael Dokes. And after that, and Rudy Battle having a job pushing away these two behemoth heavyweights.
Rudy having a battle.
That's right.
Did a good job, got in front of him and pushed Jesse Ferguson back.
But he dashed first into the corner of Michael Dokes and then into the corner of Jesse Ferguson, and warned them strongly that the next guy who hits after the bell is gone. 5th round action. And this one heating up now. Michael Dokes in the white, Jesse Ferguson in the, let's call it the purple trunks. Sean described the Michael Dokes when he was at his best, and compare it to what you're seeing here tonight.
This is merely a shell of the Michael Dokes that was the heavyweight champion of the world. As heavyweight champion of the world, he would pick his opponents apart. He would not back up the way he's moving here. See, one of the things that he would do, he would set his opponent up and then he'd knock him out. Great left hook that he still has, he still possesses. But he's so much different. What you lose with that extra weight and with the age and also with the drugs, you lose the speed, that crispness. One thing that Sterling McPherson in his corner, who has helped him in his recovery, one thing Sterling McPherson said about him as a fighter now, says he can't finish his opponents off. He just can't rise up when he needs it. He noticed that when he was fighting Evander Holyfield that you talked about earlier. He would hurt Holyfield, had him out 3 or 4 times, but just wasn't able to put him out. You lose that crispness.
Sensational slugfest back in March of '89.
Great fight.
Finally ended in the 10th round. At that point, that had to been even a success to Michael Dokes, coming out of rehab in '87. And then about a year and a half later, setting up the fight after 7 straight wins, setting up the fight with Holyfield. Non-title fight, that's before Holyfield was the heavyweight champion. But it'll almost put Dokes back in the picture, gain the respect once again.
Good body shots from Ferguson, zeroing in downstairs. Good move by him. Those body shots hurt, and they add up.
Ferguson certainly not bringing the sparring partner mentality into this fight. Dokes trying to open him up in the closing seconds of the 5th.
This is the wiseness of Dokes, trying to steal the last part of the round, catch the judge's eyes.
5 rounds down, 5 over the horizon.
After each round, okay, baby? All right.
And this is Sterling McPherson.
All right, come on. Pity patting you, trying to set you up with something.
I think he went to get more water.
There's a look at Bill Slayton, perhaps one of the greatest trainers alive today, from Broadway Gym in California.
That's right. Come on, right here, Eddie.
Really great trainer. Ken Norton to the heavyweight title.
All right, Mike.
Sterling McPherson also looking over there, former lightweight and junior welterweight in the 70s and 80s.
Let's go to work.
Here is a look.
You're using a good jab, but I don't want you to
Good
drop
combinations. Body shots from Jesse Ferguson, zeroing in on that body. You can see his eyes focused on that body, trying to go downstairs, realizing how important a good, solid body attack is, especially when you've got a big target like that sitting down there waiting for you.
Well, Sterling McPherson asked Michael Dokes, well, 5 rounds down, you figured him out. Dokes kind of said yes. What do you think he figured out? No, Jesse Ferguson.
Figured out Jesse's going to hit him in the body. That's probably the first thing he figured out.
You know, you look at Jesse Ferguson here, and then you think back, here's a guy who won his first 13 professional fights, has that big win over Buster Douglas, and then just may have been rushed enough into Carla Truth Williams, Mike Tyson, Bone Crusher Smith to actually crush a promising career.
Good combinations from him. Good combinations from Jesse Ferguson, but if he could turn, both of them respectful. I think there was a low blow thrown there, and they both take a step back. Both gained some respect since that 4th round. But if Ferguson could just turn it up just a notch, when he starts throwing 2 and 3 punches together, he does a lot of damage to Michael Dokes. If he could put 4s and 5s together, he would do even more damage. He might be able to take Dokes out. He's got some heavy shots, 13 KOs out of 18 wins for Ferguson. This is ring-wise. Dokes is smart, rolling with the punches. Hands are low, but he knows how to move his head just enough to take the power out. And that's why Ferguson goes downstairs. This hollering that Michael Dokes is doing, not only does it give you a psychological edge many times on your opponent, also he's doing that for the judges, trying to show them, hey, listen to this punch. It sounds heavier. It sounds harder.
Has Michael Dokes ever been stopped in a fight, taken out? 52 fights. It's happened 3 times, and those were his 3 losses. Jerry Coetzee and a Holyfield razor runner. Coetzee to lose his heavyweight championship. That one back in '83. 10 seconds left in the 6th round. Al Albert along with the champ Sean O'Grady. USA's Tuesday Night Fights. 7th round action. Flailing away in the purple trunks. Jesse Ferguson looking for the upset over Michael Dokes. We call it an upset just in deference to where Dokes has been the heavyweight champion. And on a streak of 6 straight wins, 5 by knockout. This is our main event. We actually had another main event looking fight earlier. Alfred Cote from Ghana, the super flyweight. Actually, that's the super comma flyweight. Undefeated, keeps that mark intact, although Alex Sanabria takes him to the distance, only the 4th time in 16 fights that Cote has not knocked out his opponent.
A lot of talking going on in there. 2 fighters now wanting to talk to each other.
Certainly digging in. Hard to imagine one of these fighters being knocked out in this one. Looks like a distance fight.
Usually by the 7th round, if you've not knocked your opponent out, boom, just as I'm saying that, a big left hook. But they are so close to the end of the fight and the fight being over that sometimes they start looking for that 10th round.
But this one has to be very close on the judges' cards. Now remember, 7th round, this is where Dokes felt that Ferguson would start to fade.
But after feeling the effects of that left hook, look how now Michael Dokes is moving in more. You try to pull away from those left hooks and they'll catch you every time. Your opponent just has to extend it. If you move inside of it, they can't hit you with them. Not with the same power. Also, as the fight gets longer and later in the fight, the fighters tend to lay in on one another like the 2 are doing here in this round, and you get no extension on your punches, so it's harder, it's more difficult to knock them out. Many times what you have to do is try to hook around your right hand, make it kind of like a hook, like that. If you can do that 3, 4, 5 times, then you can knock your opponent out. Pace has slowed down to a walk.
Inside 15 seconds to go in the 7th. We'll pause now for word from your local cable systems. This is USA's Tuesday Night Fights. Round number 8 underway. Michael Dokes, the former heavyweight champ in the white trunks. He's after his 48th professional win. Jesse Ferguson in the purple. Comes in with a mark of 18-7. Originally from North Carolina.
Living in Philadelphia, Michael Dokes, working out of both Las Vegas and Akron. He was born in Akron. He is not ranked in the top 10, nor is Dokes ranked in the top 20. But he's at 21, ranked by the WBC. When he was a champion, he reigned as the champ of the WBA.
Big right hand by Ferguson. And Dokes retaliates.
Well, earlier Ferguson said about Dokes that he's slow, can't argue against, that his legs are gone, doesn't take a shot like he used to. How would you size that?
Nobody takes a shot like they used to. He takes a pretty good shot.
Taking some good shots.
He's hung in there. He's taken everything that Jesse Ferguson has given to him. And
what about
you know
the
what?
legs being gone?
His legs. He does not have a lot of legs. They don't move a lot. But his punches are pretty fast.
He always had the great speed with the power.
But as you age, you have to concentrate more on the speed. That's the first thing to go. And the drugs age you faster than natural life.
Well, Dokes is 33. He is the younger man in the ring.
Yes.
Jesse Ferguson a year and a half older.
You know something, you look at this fight and how slow a pace it is, but remember the last fight that we watched? Cote and Sanabria? That was a high-paced, fast, quick punches fight. This one is the more the heavier shots, the thud punches, but they're slower and there's a lot of holding on, a lot of pushing.
Now you remember the pace last week, Witherspoon and Bigfoot Martin.
Right. This is a better pace than that week. Big shots. Now look at Ferguson fight back. Now here's a chance for Ferguson to score heavily. Right here, Ferguson can throw 4, 5, 6 punches. This fight could be over. You put two of them together, your opponent's eyes glaze over. That's when you unload and you get him out of there.
At age 7
of that 8th round, Michael Dokes was trying to reach again around those elbows and went down low below the belt on Ferguson. Ferguson, though, retaliated. He hit him twice after the bell had rang, and right there you see it. Rudy Battle said 1 point, so that cost him a point in that last round.
Rudy Battle warned the two fighters earlier.
Back in the 4th round, and the fighters fought after the bell.
So in a fight that may be very close, that could be a key factor. Michael Dokes, just hard to move. 258 pounds for this one. Ferguson has shown a few angles, but for the most part has been right in front of Dokes.
Which is something that Dokes needs at this point in his career. This is a perfect opponent for him. Somebody who'll stand right in front of you. Somebody that is older than you. If you cannot beat the Jesse Fergusons of the world, you have no business going up in caliber of competition.
Ferguson used to taking punches. He has sparred with them all, with Tyson, with Ruddock, with Moore, Mercer, Lennox Lewis. I think Dokes is the only one he hasn't sparred. He's only getting his rounds and punches in now.
That's it. Nice. Watch the elbow. Watch the elbow. Let's box. Come on.
Watch the elbow. Dokes looking over at the referee, asking what he's saying.
Watch the elbow.
Watch the elbows. Boy, good combinations by Dokes. Just when you think Dokes is done, When you think Dokes is all tired out and washed up, here he comes.
Down to 20 seconds left in the ninth, and the pace is slowing down, and it is Ferguson. Will he have another point taken away? Timeout called by Rudy Battle. A low blow by Jesse Ferguson. And Michael Dokes will take the opportunity for a few deep breaths.
Ferguson, I believe at this point, was fed up with Michael Dokes trying to go around the elbows. And that's not all Ferguson's fault. Look how Dokes is pushing him over. Not that it's Dokes' fault, but the two were wrestling around. So and that's why Rudy Battle did not take points.
So some of the better action happening after the bell. So 8 rounds down, or 9 to Holyfield Riddick Bowl. We'll be seeing Lennox Lewis in 2 weeks at this same place at Harrah's. Tuesday night fights in a, quote, tune-up against Mike Dixon. Well, Michael Dokes has history on his side. He has never lost a distance fight, and this goes into the 10th and final round.
And he comes out fired up for this round. He is talking now to Ferguson, trying to psych himself up too.
And looks fresher in this 10th round than he has in the last 2.
That's experience. Experience. Put on a facade. You put on a front. Part of the acting of boxing. Now in that, he threw 1 punch, but it sounded like he threw 4. He threw one, Michael Dokes threw the jab, and then he said, yeah. It sounded like he threw 4.
Keep him up. Keep him up.
Trying to go for that uppercut is Ferguson. Dokes is leaning over at the waist. He's trying to take that body away. See him pull that body back? Tired of being hit downstairs.
Oh, the big shot of the fight. And it was that left that Dokes has been watching out for from Ferguson. Halfway through the final round.
He's been hit with that left hook several times in this match.
Would you think Ferguson has to do a little more here in the 10th round if he hopes to win this fight?
Yes, he needs to put on a facade now. Now it's time for him to do whatever Bigfoot Martin did, and that was go out and win that last round and show the judges that you want to get the decision. You know, Michael Dokes is terrific at coming on the last minute of the round. He has that 3-minute clock in his head, so what he's going to try to do now is try to steal this 10th round. I've got the fight very close, especially after last week, Al. I've got it very close.
Yeah, but you had it scored very close even before the fight started.
Every round is a draw. Yeah. From now on, every fight we do is very close.
But keep in mind that Ferguson had that 1 point taken away.
That's right, and that may cost him the fight. That's how close this match is.
The judges will have it as a shutout.
I know, I've got to redeem myself.
So it's the final 10 seconds, no knockdowns in this fight. Ferguson teeing off with some of his best punches here in the 10th round. Well, you knew this one would go beyond the bell. Ferguson wants at Dokes, but I think it's just to congratulate him for 10 rounds, and that is the case.
One thing boxing does for you, you earn the respect of your opponent. Here is, in that last round, Jesse Ferguson's perhaps best punch of the night. Watch his left hook. He rolls around, shifts the weight over to that left side, and bing! Wham! That is his best punch.
Well, so much for respect and friendly. They're adjusting each other's arms. Did you catch what happened?
I think I saw what happened. I think Michael Dokes yelled something over at him.
And Jesse Ferguson taking exception after he was hugged by Dokes, but apparently Dokes had some hidden feelings that he felt that he wanted to share with Jesse Ferguson. Some of the hitting after the bell, low blows, not appreciated, and Dokes now talking away. Let's try to pick up the incident here.
There's a look at after the thing had heated up, the two getting close, but too many people in the way. Let's go a couple more rounds.
Jesse Ferguson won 12 rounds. We'll be back with a decision from Harris, but first, it is time for tonight's Power Punch. Let's go to Ed Darien.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Harrah's Atlantic City, the scoring by points as follows. Judge Joe Pasquale observed 98-91, while Judge Lynn Carter, she observed 97-92. And Judge Eugene Grant, he watched it 99-90 for the winner by unanimous decision, Michael Dynamite Dokes. Dokes. And how about a nice round of applause for Jesse Thunder Boogeyman Ferguson.
And a very playful Michael Dokes after that victory. Michael, let's.
It's out this time.
Yeah,
right?
you got it. Congratulations on the victory.
Where you want to go? Where you want to go?
Sterling.
I thought so.
Michael, tell me a little bit about what happened at the end of the fight.
First of all, I want to say hi to Willie Hawkins, my stepson, Timothy McCray, my mother, Mrs. Dokes, my aunties, Chine and Bubba, Justin Fortune, that helped me get ready for this, prepare for this fight, and also Jeff McCracken. They helped me prepare for this fight. Without them guys, I wouldn't have been here in this short of time. What happened at the end of the fight, I don't know what particularly are you talking about. You have to be more specific.
Okay, the fight ended. One picture we saw you two in each other's arms, and then the next thing, Ferguson's dashing across at you looking for more of a fight, an extension of the fight.
Well, I guess he thought the 10th round hadn't ended. You know what I'm saying? And my whole thing was that, I'm going to prepare myself for the worst. I don't know, he was coming at me. I don't know what particularly he was coming at me for. It didn't matter.
It was an you knew it would be a fight like this. He lays on top of you. He was exactly where you thought he would be. But there's a lot of low blows, some of the ugly stuff. Does that kind of go along with this kind of fight?
I never have been hit this many times below the belt in my entire career. I've been fighting 22 years. I don't know, maybe he thought since, I came in sort of heavy that I might tire out from a few low blows. But I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm just bigger now. My bones are larger, I'm more filled out.
Do you want to stay this big, though, 258?
No, well, I want to drop about 10 more pounds. I have that to lose. I did this on a 3-week notice and 2.5 weeks, really, and I cramped it in. I'm a man of my word. If I tell a guy I'm going to deliver, I'll try to live up to that.
You've told us before, and this is very unusual with a heavyweight coming back, a veteran who's always looking to get that one shot and get into the championship picture, but you've been looking at one fight at a time, and this now makes it 7 in a row. You feel it would come, and what would you say? Is there anybody out there that you would like to fight at this point?
Correction, this is 9 in a row.
That's debatable, okay. But
well, you can look it up.
Davis in Cleveland.
Okay, all right. But anyway, the question is there anybody in particular that you would like to get to?
It's just a matter of time before I reach the threshold. I'm better now than when I had the heavyweight championship of the world. I'm wiser now than I was 10 years ago. I'm more confident. I know what I'm doing. I'm far more precocious now at this age. I'm in the prime of my life. I'm stronger now. I'm much more developed. As far as is there anybody particular, especially or specifically I want to fight? Whoever puts up the money and whoever signs the contract. I'm not intimidated by anyone. My mind doesn't bring me any kind of fear for anybody that's in the contention. The guys that I did lose to, I know at those fights anybody could have won. So it's just a matter of who signs and when and how much.
All right, thank you, Michael, former heavyweight champ. Maybe we'll see if we could line up Jerry Coach.
Craig, hi.
Jerry Coach.
All right, we'll be back for more
Madison,
from Harrah's in Atlantic City, New Jersey.